Clean. Welcome back, beautiful people. Since before the pandemic, my bike fork hasn't seen love. So that's exactly what we'll be doing today. Servicing my bike fork. Come along. Ready to go. But where is the bike itself? Washed it last night and left it on the balcony. Such a clown. Give the bike a good wipe down because it's still looking janky, even after washing it the whole afternoon yesterday. Look at that. And obviously you want to take your wheels off because you can service your fork without doing that. And now that you're done giving your bike a nice jacuzzi bath, I mean a quick wipe down, you might want to proceed to taking apart your fork. Alright, so to do that, we're going to need a 5mm Allen key. And before I forget a very vital safety part, before you begin anything, you want to release the hair in your fork. And you do that by taking this off. That's the fork valve. And you want to just slowly deflate the fork. Nice and slow. Make sure all the air is out. And start taking things apart like a brake hose guard. Move to the brake caliper. So what I usually do is just set it aside and wrap something around it so as to keep it from contaminating. And now I can concentrate on something else. See, near the tension area, you have this little spring that holds the fork seal tighter to the tension. You want to pry that off and do the same thing for the other side. And to access the other leg, you want to take the adjustment knob off. So now as you unscrew this, you don't want to unscrew it all the way. Right about when it's almost off, what you want to do is take this off, get you a nice rubber hammer, and hit it like twice. And what that does is separate the screw that holds the lower part of the fork to the inner cartridge. And now you repeat the same thing for the other side. And the most important part, you don't want to mess your whole room up, so find you something to collect the oil as it drips off. And that's where the regular house bin comes into play. Just put it underneath. Okay, so now that we've taken all safety precautions, I can say it's safe to take off the screws now. There you go. Separated. Alright, so, and from here on, it's just no rocket science, it's just child's play from here on. And you're gonna want to set this aside and give it a nice wipe down, both in and out. So now that you have the entire thing apart, it's time to take your time and give this tension the love it's been craving the entire year. So to do that, you're gonna need isopropyl alcohol, there's rubbing alcohol, and give it a nice thorough wipe down. In my case, it's actually not that filthy because, yeah, I've been doing some heavy editing the entire time, so less writing. But hey, just for demonstration purposes, that's how to do it. So, I want to get you that. And give it a nice wipe down. It's one of the easiest jobs to do. And now we can move to the lower part of the fork. Wipe that extension spring you took apart, remember? And basically any other friction part you see in the fork. And now you might be asking, how do I reach the inner part of the fork? I got you. Being the smarter that I am, I've created this improvised tool that is just basically a whole drag wrapped around some hanger laying around the house. And that way, just rock it back and forth a couple of times. Do the same thing for the other side. Cleaner than a whistle. And now if you come closer, you will see this little foam thing that lubricates this tension as it goes back and forth. Take it out. Do the same thing for the other side. I'm still going to set them aside and soak them in isopropyl alcohol. But for now, just give the lower part of the fork some nice wipe down. Clean. Tell me how that isn't how musical instruments are made. Just somebody messing around with some pipe and some holes in it. Next thing you know, the cocolocule is invented.
What country you from? What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English and what?
The cocolocule is invented.
What? English, motherfucker! Do you speak it? Yes!
Anyway, we want to proceed by soaking this in some rubbing alcohol. Just dry both properly and put them back where they belong. Right there. I think they're both sitting where they belong. And now you want to lubricate it with some suspension specific lubricant. In this case, the RockShox High Performance Suspension Fluid 15 WT. So now go around the foam and do the same thing as usual for the other side. Just make sure it's wet and well saturated. And now you want to go around this tension seal with this shrine butter. See that? So now that we're set, you want to put the whole thing back together slowly. And do not forget to pull back this tension ring. There we go. So now just before the lower part touches the upper part of the fork, you want to flip the whole bike around and put 6 milliliters of RockShox suspension fluid as recommended by RockShox itself. So you want to flip the bike around, flip it around. So take 6 milliliter suspension fluid from RockShox as recommended. 5 and put it inside that hole between the cartridge and the lower part of the suspension. One side down, the second side, go. And now it's safe to put everything back together. Just remember what order what came out. Put the adjustment knob back to where it belongs. So put things back to where they belong. Your brake caliper. It feels so good fixing stuff by yourself. That way you don't get ripped up by some fucking, so excuse me for my French, by some fucking mechanic. And I suggest you invest in some good suspension pump. I don't mean the tire pump, I mean the real suspension pump. This only sent me back some 15 bucks, so hey, didn't cost an organ. And always write down the exact pressure that you put in your suspension so that when it's time to do such service, you easily put things back the way they were. But I would suggest you put your wheels back on first because it's easier to pressurize your suspension when you have your wheels on. Put the second one, go over your gears. Working perfectly. Yeah, so now that everything seems okay, now you want to release the bike and put it on the floor and pump up the suspension to the desired pressure. Now it's soft as a baby's ass. I'll just get this out of the way. It's service purpose. If only tools could talk, they would have been like, you selfish son of a bitch, you only care about me when you need me. Alright, so pump it up to the desired pressure, 110 in my case. That should do. Give it a nice pump, like 5 times, and come back. Now you check it in, give it one more try. Lost a whole lot. See? It's always good to do a double checkup. Now pump it back up, repeat the same step. See, that's it, fellas. Put everything back together and you're done. See, you can do this by yourself, DIY style. You don't need to dish out a whole organ to service some freaking bike, you could do this by yourself. Check out my other videos on this channel, and if you like this, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and check out my other funny videos, because I'm not just limited to bike videos. I make all kinds of videos about things that I'm passionate about in life. So surf around a little bit on my channel and you'll find something that is entertaining, I promise you. I'm Sucker signing out, and I'll see you in the next one. Yes! Now I just have to clean up after myself after making a whole piggery out of myself, for lack of a better word. Is there a word called piggery? Pig poultry. Piggy.